Welcome to the San Bruno Beacon's presentation of the Congressional Budget Office's May 2019 analysis of the President's 2020 budget. Unless otherwise noted, years referred to in this report are federal fiscal years, which run from October 1 through September 30 and are designated by the calendar year in which they end. Numbers in the text and tables may not add up to totals because of rounding. Supplemental data for this analysis are available on the Congressional Budget Office website. Here is the table of contents for the Congressional Budget Office's analysis of Trump's 2020 budget proposal. The table of contents includes, but is not limited to, projections, comparisons, estimates, tables and figures. On March 18, 2019, the misanthropic Trump administration submitted the full details of its proposed 2020 budget to Congress. In this report, the Congressional Budget Office examines how the Trump administration's proposed 2020 budget to Congress would affect budgetary outcomes relative to the CBO's most recent baseline budget projections if Trump's mean-spirited, destructive, flawed budget proposal was enacted by Congress. These projections extend from 2019 to 2029 and incorporate the assumption that current laws governing federal spending and revenues will generally remain in place. According to Congressional Budget Office estimates, if the Trump administration's 2020 budget proposal was enacted, public-held federal debt would equal 87% of the gross domestic product or GDP in 2029. Trump wants to reduce the federal deficit by stealing $1.5 trillion from the U.S. government's healthcare safety net. Trump wants to destroy the federal healthcare safety net that protects, heals and saves the lives of tens of millions of America's most vulnerable citizens who require access to quality healthcare. At the same time, Trump wants to spend trillions of federal dollars during the next 10 years on increased defense spending and lower taxes for the richest Americans. The interests of tens of millions of Americans who rely upon the federal healthcare safety net to survive outweigh the interests of the greedy, dishonest, bloated, wasteful defense contractors who get rich selling overpriced equipment that in some cases does not work. The bloated defense budget is a national disgrace that requires dramatic spending reductions. The interests of tens of millions of Americans, who rely upon the federal healthcare safety net to survive, outweigh the greedy self-interests of Trump and his legion of rich cronies who, in many cases, have used highly suspect schemes and ploys to stuff their bank accounts with money. In a 2018 report titled, How the 2017 Tax Act Affected CBO's Economic and Budget Projections, the Congressional Budget Office observed that the Republican 2017 Tax Act will increase the total projected U.S. budget deficit by $1.9 trillion between 2018 and 2028. Trump, and the soulless ghouls in his feckless administration, have been and are at war against America's most economically vulnerable citizens whom the Republicans go to great lengths to keep away from the ballot box at every election. The nation's proposed federal budget was approved, federal government revenues would be reduced by $900 billion, primarily because of an extension of provisions in the 2017 Tax Act, and $500 billion of unnecessary increased defense spending that would increase the U.S. budget deficit.
Thank you for visiting the San Bruno Beacon YouTube channel and watching our video. This production was written, edited and published by Bill Baker JD. If you have not already done so, please subscribe, share, and like this video.